my next guest is best known for her many years on daytime television, but Fern Britton, of course, an award-winning author. She has just released her 9th novel, already a huge bestseller, and it's so good to talk to Fern Britton. How are you, Fern?
Oh, I'm fine, Lorraine. Thank you. How are you, darling? All right?
I'm all right. I'm not too bad. I'm getting a bit irate about all of the rubbish that's left behind. I mean, you live in beautiful Cornwall, and I guess you're kind of inundated right now.
Well, we're braced for the 4th of July, which is, on one hand, terrific that businesses are crying out to get some business going and working, but also the businesses they are also socially responsible and thinking about how are we going to make it work. So there's an awful lot going on that we are concerned about to see what will happen on. I say we as if I'm a Cornish person, but I feel it, and it's not that we want people to stay away, but it is, as you said, horrible when they leave the mess. And I will use the words you wouldn't use, because in the May bank holiday, a hell of a lot of people came down and they were literally defecating in the dunes. You would clear up after your dog. Yes. And I understand sometimes people get really caught out, but just think about that. And if you really are going to get caught out, have some bags in the car and blow and well clear yourself up, because there are council workers who are having to deal with that daily. And when the public loos open, it's bad enough because people chuck nappies down the loo, they chuck this and that, then the loos all overflow, and that it's just awful for the people who have to clean up. So I understand the frustration, but if you're really caught out, please bring a bag.
Listen to Fern. Fern knows. She knows things. Listen to her.
When my children were little, and if they got caught out, this is what I used to do. The bucket for the sandcastles, line it with a carrier bag. They can sit on the bucket, tie it up, gone.
You are fabulous. You are fabulous. As if I couldn't love you more. Absolutely brilliant. Well, look, what we need to take our minds off of this, Fern, is we need a good read. And Daughters of Cornwall is the latest one. Obviously set in Cornwall, of course. But it's kind of got a personal connection, hasn't it? Especially to do with your gran.
Yes. In 1980, it started with a letter. In 1980, a man wrote to me while I was actually working down here in Plymouth for Westwood Television, and he'd been down on holiday with his wife and seen me, and he wrote me a letter saying, is your grandmother, and he gave me these names, and I thought, yes. So I wrote back, no emails, wrote back, yes, I am. How do you know them? He said, well, this might come as a surprise, but I think I'm your uncle and I'm your mother's brother, and your grandmother is my mother. And so I had to send back again and go, well, you've got to send me some proof. And he did send me proof. He sent me photographs of him as a little boy on a beach in sort of the 1920s, I suppose, when he was a little toddler. And with her, and letters from her to his foster family. She had him when she must have been about 18 or 20 during the First World War. Her own mother had died, I know that much. And she had this little boy, and she wasn't married, and she had to give him up. But I know that for the rest of her life, she missed him, because when she was very ill, just before she died, she said to my mum, I've been a wicked woman, I've done wicked things. And my mother just thought, you're a wonderful mother. What are you talking about? Nothing. And then we thought, oh, my goodness, all her years, she'd been thinking about the son she had to give away. And so that sort of inspired me, really, her story. And so there's sort of 60% of that story running through Daughters of Cornwall, but I've had to fictionalise the rest because she covered her tracks so well. We never did find out who my uncle's father was, and it was all very sad. My uncle, however, he did go on to have a very happy life, his own family, and he had good foster parents, and so it ended well, but terrible for him and terrible for her.
But you've managed to weave this fantastic story, and it is a page turner. I had to sit and read it the whole way through, which is good, and I needed it. It's lovely to just escape from all of this. But you've said, it's really interesting that you said actually you're quite grateful for lockdown, because it kind of came at a time for you when you needed to kind of sort things out. Yes,
it's been a difficult couple of years. My mum died and my father died, and unfortunately Phil and I fell apart, and I had to write this book and get it out on the deadline, and I was very late with it, so thank goodness for my publisher and editor, who were wonderful and stuck with me. So it took a lot to sort of get it out there. And then once all that was done, lockdown happened, and it's like 3 months of I needed that rest, you know.
Yeah,
I think that a lot of people are feeling that, and then I feel guilty of it, as we all do, because we're not on the front line dealing with all the difficult things. But our only duty is to sit tight and not start the virus spreading around the community. So if that's a job, we can do that, can't we?
Exactly. Of course we can. Of course we can. And so you don't miss the kind of 5 days a week live telly thing you've got. I mean, you seem to have a great balance now, Fern, because I know you're a woman that pushes herself. You've done all those amazing bike rides and you've been on stage and Calendar Girls and all of these things. But it's like you've got the balance right now.
Well, it's 11 years, you know, since I left this morning.
Oh, it's amazing.
I'm used to that. I am used to that now. I'm not waking up early, that's for sure, anymore. But no regrets, actually. I loved that show, and I think if I hadn't gone then, I'd probably still be there, but maybe, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Sometimes you see the same things coming through, and you think, how can we change that? How can we give it a different... But, of course, new and young production teams come through and think, this is a good idea, and you think, I think we may have done that.
I hear you, Fern. Fern, it's fantastic to talk to you. Daughters of Cornwall, there it is. It's out now. It's already a huge success. It's a great read.
It's number one, Lorraine. It's number one.
I know. It's
2 weeks running.
Brilliant. Good for you. Good on you, girl. More power to you. And thank you for your wise words, as always. Great to talk to you.